Nature and music abhor a vacuum. So I'm glad that Nick fills it with these twisted tales of mind fuckery and suspense, and dirty deeds, done dirtily. Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. And it's Andy and it's John. And as always, it's time to dig into some tunage. So, John, you're going to throw something my way. What'll it be today?
So we're going to a band which we have gone to many times before on our ever-growing playlists, and that is Nick Cave and the Bad
Oh,
Seeds.
nice. Yeah. Well, it's definitely in probably my top five of acts that you've given me over the years. I always look forward to hearing something new from Mr. Cave, and in this case, his Bad Seed. So, what's the name of the track this go round?
So this is a slightly different sound of theirs, and this is She Fell Away.
Okay, she fell away. I'm sure there'll be an interesting narrative behind this if I know Nick. So let me go off and give it a listen. I can come back and let you know what I think. I love those plonking xylophone notes.
Once she lay open like a rose, carved upon the madness that I stumbled from, but she fell away.
So all the suspense being built by this kind of semi-slow burn beginning and how it grows. It's often said this before, but it's like this sort of tsunami wave forming off in the distance, and it's gaining more and more strength and momentum until it pummels the shores of our ears like a torrent. This is lovely. I love what I'm hearing. It's also very on brand for Nick Cave. I mean, he loves to build these moody, dynamic pieces. And then even that that line when he says, once she lay open like a road. It's a very interesting, evocative line. You wonder if it means like physically open, or like more easy to communicate with. She had, at one point, there was this open nature to their relationship, or their, not in like open relationship, but like this sort of, before she became closed off, inference to the line as well. It could be inferred a number of different ways, I would imagine, but that's also something that he likes to do: subvert expectations, or use these kind of selected choice words or phrases that could mean more than one thing. But yeah, I'm really digging this. The way the guitar kind of just needles away in there, and the plonks, which I've always, especially when they pick up, they have this like this added feeling of suspense that it usually injects into a song, or is capable of injecting into a song.
Shed me like a skin. She fell away. Let me
galloping almost nature to that clipped guitar.
Seems impossible to me now. Seems impossible to me now. Seems impossible to me now. That once the road lay open like a girl.
Another interesting line.
And we drank and laughed until the bottle over. But she fell away. She fell away. I do not see the caress fall as I knelt to pray. I did not see the crevice, yo, oh, no,
Ugh.
no.
Or that guitar.
I feel the end, it is at hand. My pistol going crazy in my hand.
I don't know if it'd be a Nick Cave song without a reference to potential violence, in this case, in the form of this pistol going crazy in our narrator's hand. Yeah. Par for the fucked up course.
Oh, she fell away. Oh, she fell away. Walked me to the brink and fell away. I did not see her fall. Sometimes I wonder, was she ever really there at all? Yes, she fell away. She fell away. Oh, she fell away.
Oh, man. Well, the way he was talking about that pistol going crazy in his hand and then following it up with "She Fell Away," it sounds like another classic case of a amicable separation in a, Nick Cave song. Nothing to see here, folks. Actually, there's a lot to see here, a lot to be heard here. And it all, like I said, par for the course, sounds very lascivious and seedy and dirty, and this music is wrought with tension and some form of conflict. Obviously, it sounds like maybe at one point between the two parties, the he and the she, and then the he and the self, kind of probably grappling with not only what happened, but what led to whatever it is that happened. I don't want to, take this too literally, but could very well be assumed that two parties entered the song and one party exited, and that there was a pistol involved. So y'all can do the math there. I'm always impressed with his ability to write these songs that sound like these, sort of one series or one, kind of like a mini series that could be on HBO or something like that, this kind of suspenseful stuff. But I do wonder if if he's capable of writing a pop love song. Like, I wonder if that's kind of like his Everest, you know, if he's even capable of that. And he doesn't need to be. The world of music is littered with songs like that, and fewer that are like this. But it's just funny to think, to try to envision Nick Cave writing like his version of "I Want to Hold Your Hand" or something like that. You know what I mean? But everything he writes is evocative, and it paints these gritty pictures in your head, and it's always a ride listening to one of his tunes. There's something very visceral about the way the music is constructed, as well as the narrative that he kind of paints over top of that. So I always kind of have to buckle up and prepare myself for some pretty heavy subject matter, and this one met all of my expectations. I will say that. I love the way that this thing built and then pulled back within itself to only then build again. As a story got more and more interesting, and at times felt helpless, at times felt murderous. A lot of feelings in this one. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. I'd like to learn more about it, so you know what that means. Let's get back to John and chop this one up.
Blind Willie Johnson is back. So you've had to listen to "She Fell Away" by Nick Cave and Bad Seeds. What do you think?
Another lovely song of kinship and and happy endings. Oh, it's just great. Exactly what I come to expect.
Warm, fuzzy feelings all
Yeah,
over the
yeah,
place.
right. Oh goodness. So it begins with this odd kind of bouncing between notes on the piano that slowly grows and comes into focus whilst this is taking shape. We get shots of tinkly xylophone notes here and there. And all of this is working together to create a very suspenseful mood. I think that is one of those instruments that is so good at building suspense is a xylophone. It's just something about, like, especially as it picks up pace and it becomes like more like
Activity as well, yeah.
yeah. It's like, oh god, what's happening next? So you get a little bit of that in this mix, and the drums begin adding this extra depth to this ever encroaching buildup in the music, and you can feel it gaining strength like a tsunami wave preparing to come crashing upon the shores of our ears. And at the 30-second marker, my expectations are somewhat subverted, as instead of kicking off into a torrent of calamity, the drums drop out and the accompanying music resigns this sort of this resonant kind of bent note. And this sustains for a half second before Cave's voice joins the fray. And he opens the verse with "Once she lay open like a road." And as that line resolves, that punchy piano returns, kind of stabbing at those notes. And it's interesting, like she lay, even that line, once she lay open like a road. Now you can think of that in the most bawdiest of terms if you wish. I'm sure part of Cave's intent is to make you think that. But there's also this idea of like, what once was a healthy relationship with an open, where both parties were open to one another, has now become cold and closed off, perhaps, is sort of what he could be alluding to as well. So it could be either, and I'm pretty sure he wants to make you grapple with that and think about it, and I always appreciate that about his lyrical approach. So again, it's like already like we got one fucking phrase into the song and I'm already like tipping my cap to him because I like what he's making me do here. Um, so the intensity created within the soundscape can't be understated really at this point, as manic plonks on the xylophone punctuate here and there, again enhancing this suspenseful air to the track. And at the 103 mark, there's this minor crash, and Cave bellows out, "Shed me like a skin." And whether it was his intent or not, the combination of this sort of miniature musical climax and the words he delivers work together to literally make my skin crawl. Like it gave me this sort of ooh. Um, the music here is mercurial. As 1 second it will recede like the tide, with fleeting moments of calm or near hush before pummeling us with outbursts of sound. Beyond the 130 mark, you can pick up little almost galloping clips of the guitar, and then some slightly off kilter bends and winds to that guitar. As much like the opening salvo, the song begins to grow and gain steam. And this resolves again with the music cutting out, leaving only Cave's voice and the ghost like resonance of the newly departed music. And he sings, "Once the road lay open." Again, this idea of like something being open versus closed is interesting. Um, and then the drummer hits the downbeat, and Cave continues, "Like a girl." So again, he's making us think this lascivious, dirty, this possible dual or triple meaning. However, there's multiple meanings behind this or interpretations behind it, and he wants us to ponder those different forks in the road, or potential forks in the road. And it's back to work building the suspense through that piano motif, coupled with a similarly itchy guitar bit. And at the 239 mark, after delivering the line, "As I knelt to pray," there's yet another cutout as Cave continues, "I felt the crevice yawn," and he like elongates the word yawn, which is actually quite nice and interesting. But another evocative line we have from Mr. Cave. And now we're back to building the tension from the ground up, but this time there are added shots of dissonant guitar sounds occupying the soundscape as the drums fervently grow until the inevitable cutout, as Cave calls out, "At night I feel the end is at hand." So we're in great shape here. Things are only getting better for our narrator. And then things only further spiral from here as Cave confesses that the pistol was going crazy in his hand before she fell away, and that he was walked to the brink before she fell away. So this sounds like a relationship that ended in a very kind and peaceful amicability, and one could only find that one could only find in one of Cave's narratives. So yeah, it's checking all those wholesome boxes that we joked about at the beginning of this. He then repeats in a tone that to me sounded almost remorseful, "She fell away," before the song comes to an end. So again, another song that could easily serve as a novella, ripe with suspense, morbid intrigue, and likely murder. Uh, I've come to expect no less from him at this point, and I think it's really now where I want to challenge him to write his "I Want to Hold Your Hand," because surely that has to be his Everest. Uh, I don't even know if it's possible for him to write a pop love song. Thankfully, though, the world has plenty of them, and surely fewer soundtracks to the mind of a malignant narcissist. So, we need him to occupy that, nature and music abhor a vacuum. So I'm glad that Nick fills it with these twisted tales of mind fuckery and suspense, and dirty deeds done dirtily. So please, John, tell me a bit more about this one. I loved it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Thanks for that, Andy. I would say before we begin, and we talked about this before, but it would be great, wouldn't it, if someone with some vision to do like
Oh yeah,
a season of Nick Cave stories, in film or
that's
TV version.
what I thought about by the end of it. And I think I made mention of this. Is like each song could be like God, what did HBO do? True Detective, where it's the same name of the show, but each season it's a new cast of characters and a new thing.
Yeah,
Like that, it could be like, the Cave stories or Tales from the Cave, and each, 6 to 10 episode season is its own elongated kind of
yeah,
run
yeah,
with song that he's written that they kind of write around and within and patch up the pieces. It'd be so cool.
yeah. I mean, they're almost like sort of Raymond Carver stories, short stories, and if you think about the ones, so we've obviously done a few episodes of Deanna, Jubilee Street, There She Goes, My Beautiful World, Dig Lazarus Dig, The Ballad of Robert Moore and Betty Coltrane, Papa Won't Leave You, Henry, 15 Feet of Pure White Snow. Now this one, we add to the list. So yeah, they're all stories. Each one of those is
Mhm.
a little sort of novella. If you want to check out more about the band, we've been going through and sort of piecing it together as we go, but I'll put the link in for the playlist. This will be added to it. Go and check out all that good stuff. This is an earliest bit of Nick Cave and Bad Seeds that you've listened so far. This is taken from their fourth album, Your Funeral, My Trial. A chirpy little line. It was released in November 1986, so 40 years ago, just about.
He's
That's
so
crazy.
lucky that he's not like it's good that he's not like any of these characters, because if he were to get into some legal trouble and I was the lawyer, I would just bring up his discography and be like, open and shut case here, like he's fucking guilty,
Yeah,
look at this shit.
yeah, exactly. So when he was doing this album, just after Kicking Against the Pricks, which is their cover album, um, during this period, he was steeped in heroin addiction, which you can probably feel from the sort of depressed melancholy of the album. This was the final Bad Seeds album to feature Barry Adamson as the bassist until he went away, and then he came back for their 15th album, Push Away the Sky, which is Jubilee Street we listened to
Okay,
in,
gotcha.
in
Yeah.
2013, so a big break. So Nick Cave said of this album in an interview in 1993, he said, that particular record, which is my favorite of the records we've done, it's very special to me. A lot of amazing things happened musically in the studio. There are some songs on that record that, as far as I'm concerned, are about as perfect as we can get, really. Songs like The Carney, Your Funeral, My Trial, and Stranger Than Kindness, I think are really quite brilliant. It's interesting when people talk about this album, they do talk about those three songs pretty much. The Carney's a big sort of Nick Cave song. Um, but I chose this because one, I'm not bastard. Two, I really just like the subtlety of this.
Hmm.
It's really intriguing, and the way the music almost drifts around like a sandstorm. You get this idea of open roads and that sort of not American Midwest, like maybe the Australian sort of, outback or wilderness, the big open roads. And we talked about that before in other episodes and other bands. So yeah, I just found this song is intriguing because you can't quite pin it down. It's like trying to nail custard to the wall.
Mhm.
You can get a take, and then the next time it may be a different take on it, which I think is a real, great sign of a really good song. So, Your Funeral, My Trial was the band's first album to reach the Australian top 100 album charts, where it peaked at 98, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, back then, obviously, they come from the back of being in the Birthday Party, which was one of the least accessible bands ever.
Mhm.
So to slowly, come to us, and it reached number one in the UK Independent Albums chart. So it's naturally the UK being ahead of everybody else in terms of taste. So record producer Flood said, I remember Mick Harvey arrived in the studio with the guts of an old grand piano. That was the basis of the sound. It was just the strings attached to a metal frame. He tuned certain notes and used a guitar plectrum to pick the notes, and that ended up as the Carney. That was the first day of recording the album. It kind of set the tone for the whole record, which you can hear in this song as well. And reflecting on the album in 2020, Mick Harvey said, the album gave us a template to go forward with. It was organised rather than rambling. It all felt complete, even though it was a disparate set of sounds and styles. It felt like it belonged to us. It sounded like the Bad Seeds. So, mention the Bad Seeds, the personnel in this, and this is for the whole album.
Okay.
Nick Cave, vocals, piano, Hammond, harmonica. Mick Harvey, bass guitar, drums, snare drum on this particular track you just heard, and piano, organ, glockenspiel, xylophone, backing vocals. Blixer Bargels, guitar, and co-lead vocals on the Carney. Barry Addison, bass, and Thomas Wilder, drums, and fire extinguisher, the track you just heard as well. So that was that clanking noise, was the fire
Oh,
extinguisher.
okay. All right.
Yeah. So BBC Music said of the album, Your Funeral, My Trial is a lesson in delicious restraint and revelation. a showcase of just what grandeur can be achieved by a speedy yet dedicated work ethic, and as fine an opus as Cave has ever produced. All Music said, arguably, Cave and company have by now so clearly established their overall style that Your Funeral, My Trial is much more of a refinement of the past than anything else. But so good is their work that resistance is near impossible. If anything, the brooding power of the seas is more restrained than ever, suggesting destructive endings and overwhelming love without directly playing it. And Pitchfork said, Your Funeral, My Trial showcases Cave and the Bad Seas' various modes and models with peak form precision, building up from an elegantly wasted reveries, creepy cabaret set pieces, and exquisite murder balladry of the album's first act before erupting into the show-stopping, whip-cracking surges of Jack Shadow and She Fell Away in the second act. Every guy, as Nick Cave would assume from here on in, and the way they typed it, I glanced at it, I thought it said heroin. From here on in, from the dignified piano balladeer of 1990's The Good Son to the mad preacher of 2004's Abattoir Blues, could all be traced back to here. So it's really seen as a very key album.
Kind of the genesis point for their sound and where they would go. Yeah.
Exactly. And coalescing ideas into, this is the route. The lyrics. Once she lay open like a road, carved apart the madness that I stumbled from. But she fell away. She fell away. Shed me like a skin. She fell away. Left me holding everything. Seems impossible to me now. Seems impossible to me now. Seems impossible to me now. Once the road lay open like a girl, and we drank and laughed and threw the bottle over. But she fell away. She fell away. I did not see the cracks form as I knelt to pray. I did not see the crevice yawn. No. Sometimes at night I feel the end. It is at hand. My pistol going crazy in my hand. Well, she fell away. Oh, she fell away. Walked me to the brink, then fell away. I did not see her fall. To better days, sometimes I wonder, was she ever there at all? She fell away, she fell away, she fell away. So there's various notes on this, and people have said it's this like exploration of sudden romantic loss for whatever reason, abandonment as well, and the emotional sort of devastation behind it. And they talk about the other partner, the she, as almost like a transformative partner, and leaves the narrator holding everything. Could be baggage, his troubles, his shit, her shit as well, whatever. But yeah, abandonment and loss, desolation, and disorientation. Really dark imagery of that yawning crevice and going crazy in my hand. Just really, you really want to know about this relationship prior to this event and what this event was as well.
Yeah.
Really interesting stuff. Really interesting.
Yeah, you can feel the structure falling apart as each stanza progresses, or his realization at least of that dissolution of the relationship, and then perhaps punctuating it with how he responded to it or potentially responded to it is interesting and evocative, and it makes you think. And that's kind of, I'd say, musical dynamics, because you need to fuck with those in order to create emphasis around the narrative. But then the narrative are the two strongest attributes to his songwriting. Which is
so well written.
It is. It's so great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if I'm in a good mood, I don't know if I'm reaching for Nick Cave, but if I'm dealing with shit, this might be, and you want something cathartic, and some commiseration, this is the perfect, soundtrack to kind of grapple with and wrestle with those feelings, I think, anyway. Or it's going to be the shit that pushes you over the edge, makes you do some shit. I guess it depends upon the listener, but for me, I would find catharsis in this.
Exactly. So yeah, as I said before, this album is widely seen as a pivotal, highly personal and dark masterpiece in their discography. Far Out magazine wrote a little piece, and I've just snippled a bit of it, which I thought was really good. And they said, for some, the sound of Your Funeral, My Trial was utterly unpalatable. For others, it was a gift. Despite the fact that Cave had used his time with a birthday party, I think it should be, to launch a series of what he described as deliberate piss takes on goth rock bands, In a somewhat ironic turn of events, Your Funeral, My Trial was celebrated by the goth scene and went on to inspire a whole new generation of bands that held Cave's maudlin blend of avant rock in high regard. So he
Mm.
took the piss out of them and then he's inspired them. Looking back, it is a record that seems to foreshadow not only the rise of the exploratory guitar-based genres such as shoegaze, which in the UK was already emerging out of the trials of feedback left by Jason Mary Chain, but also something Cave would return to time and time again in his own career: the twisted love ballad.
Yeah.
The constant push-pull between death and sex that defines the material on Your Funeral, My Trial is as clear as day, or dark as night, depending on your preference. And the duality that makes it even the most harrowing of Cave's vignettes strangely tender, perhaps even joyful. So while it might sound gnarled and embittered on the surface, once you're safely inside this bizarre, intricately crafted music box of an album, you're sure to hear the gentle throb of a beating heart. I think that's a really interesting take and really well
Yeah. That
points
is.
well made on that. So yeah, so there you go. Another sort of slightly earlier sound, and probably the sort of the genesis of some of the stuff we've heard later on.
Yeah.
That starting with that piano is very, you hear that again in the ballads of Rob Moore and Betty Coltrane. The do 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 do.
Okay. Okay.
So there's bits of that. But yeah, really interesting stuff. And there's other. I think probably the next one or two, there's a huge elephant in the room in terms of Nick Cave, which we haven't addressed yet, and I think we probably will the next because it's a massive sort of change and
Okay.
turn. So we
Well, I
should
look
do
forward
that.
to it.
Yeah. If you think you've heard depressing stuff. Anyway, I don't spoil the surprise, but yeah. So I will wrap things up. Thanks for this, Sandy.
Absolutely.
Folks out there, please let us know what you think. If you like this, please do slap your meaty paw on the like button and drop some comments. We'd love to hear from you. I really like this album a lot. Um, yeah. So I'd love to hear what you guys think as well. I know everyone goes on about the Carney, but I think this song is really interesting and special, and so that's why I chose it for Andy. But yeah, you may agree, you may disagree. Please, we'd love to hear what you think. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. All this could be yours and more besides. The simple click. And yeah, we would appreciate everybody who does support the channel. So hop on board. That being said, thanks again so much for watching. And we'll see all of you on the next episode of The Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.